Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Wilkie,
And I'm Janie Genosis.
and you're listening or watching the Upright Uptake, where we share insights about public relations, the media, getting your voice heard, and making the most of your communications.
And today's topic has a name that it sounds kind of bad, but it's not. We're talking about newsjacking.
It's actually a very respectable PR strategy when it's done right. The key is to do it right.
Newsjacking takes advantage of breaking news and can result in some timely coverage to leverage your brand. The key is to act fast, and we're talking lightning speed, and offer relevant information and resources for reporters covering topics your organization understands. Once stories are out in full force, the opportunity is saturated and your chances of getting covered are slim to none. So here's a little illustration. David Meerman Scott has this handy chart that shows really how early response is going to have a much better chance of success. So if you look where the arrow is, it's actually very, very early in the news cycle, and showing that time is really critical, because even though interest starts to grow and that topic gets covered more and more, so do the number of people out there who are trying to do exactly what you do and get their message out.
It sounds like an easy way to get coverage, but in reality, it takes a lot of planning way before the breaking news hits. If you aren't prepared to jump on an opportunity the minute it lands, your company's going to miss out. It's important to keep a few things in mind when you're going down the newsjacking path. If you're thinking of doing it, it probably means your competition is considering it as well. And for every journalist that's covering the story, there's a company with a PR person telling that reporter they have a unique take or insight that's going to be beneficial to them. Multiply that company and that PR person by 10 or 100, and you can get an idea of what a journalist goes through every day on just one story, not just everything else they work on. So imagine if you're working on something, a proposal, a spreadsheet, or a report in your job, and all of a sudden 25 people out of the blue email you and call you and tell you that they can help you do that thing better than you're already doing it.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good example there, Paul.
No one likes being told how to do their jobs. So with that in mind, proceed with caution and delicacy. And if you still think you've got something good to offer a reporter in this regard, here are a few ways to make sure that your team is ready to react to the relevant breaking stories.
So number one, think about topics that are related to your expertise and start to make a list. Really be honest and thorough in your list, and think beyond your core strengths to see if you can tie what you do to something that's closely related. Plug your list into news searching so that you'll be the first to hear about breaking stories that fall into your area of expertise.
Yeah, and decide who is best to speak about each topic on the list. Get their buy-in, get their contact info, personal cell and email, not just their work info. Breaking news doesn't stop for anybody. It doesn't stop for business hours. It doesn't stop for you taking a swim. Prepare any spokespeople in advance, because a quick way to lose credibility with the media is to pitch your expertise without the expert.
Excellent point, Paul. It's so important to know how to reach your spokespeople when you need to reach them, because you just don't know when that's going to be with breaking news. So make a plan for quick communication and approvals so you can send a relevant and helpful quote quickly and pitch a live interview at the same time. Having a pre-written quote is important, because sometimes reporters are so slammed and on such a tight deadline that they'll just grab that quote and use it. It makes their job so much easier. Anytime we can make a reporter's job easier, we want to do that. And remember, again, that speed is critical.
And as we've mentioned on previous Uptake videos, PR is a long game. Plant seeds to offer your experts long before breaking news hits. When reporters are familiar with your company and your spokespeople, they are likely to reach out directly to you.
All the more reason to be prepared in advance and ready to respond. So, Paul, what's your favorite newsjacking success story?
Mine's a little untraditional, because we had a great client in the 2014, 2015, a company called iVerify, which has been acquired by another company, and they're still doing well. They developed eye vein biometric technology for phones, so security for locking your phone and all that. So the CEO was in the Bay Area, and he had some time on his hands. I'm like, well, let's introduce you to some reporters. The product wasn't ready for prime time yet, but the technology was really cool. So set up some one-on-one meetings with a reporter. One of them was John Blackstone at CBS News. And it was just over coffee, talking about trends, this, that, and the other thing. And then, he's like, great story, great tech. I can't do anything with it right now, but thanks for the introduction. So fast forward 6 months. And again, this was 2014.
A new break in a case involving a massive invasion of privacy for some big stars, including Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton. Hackers broke into their accounts, stole nude pictures, and then leaked them onto the internet.
A lot of celebrities had their phones hacked, and the pictures were released. And John Blackstone actually dropped me a note and said, "Hey, that guy I met with you a few months back, he did phone security, right? Would he be willing to talk about how to make one's phone more secure to prevent those kind of leaks?" Again, it wasn't formalized newsjacking in a traditional sense, but we did that groundwork. We connected with the reporter, and something connected with John with their technology. So when this big story, national story, blew up, we had an expert at the ready to talk about it.
You built that relationship, which we talk about, and I think in some of our other Upright Uptakes too. It's a long game. You said 6 months. That's a long time, but sounds like a great opportunity that presented itself.
Janie, how about you? Any interesting newsjacking experiences?
Yeah, I had one that was actually pretty traditional, Paul. It was during 2019 with the government shutdown. And I worked at a very large charitable organization, and we had heard rumors that this could happen, and they were talking about it on the news. Didn't know if it would actually happen or not, but we sat down as a company and we planned to do some special food distributions, because we figured a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and they were going to need extra help during this time should the government shut down. And lo and behold, it did. And we were ready. We had plans in place. We had a PR report in place. We had our spokespeople in place, of which I was one. And we ended up, it was the morning that it went out, that the government was shutting down, our information went out, and we were on local news, national news. Even I got a text from a friend of mine. She goes, "You were really great on the Chris Matthews show." And I'm like, "What? Wait, me?"
People not getting their paychecks, with people not spending money. So many people are affected by this. And we just want to make sure that food and nutrition is available to everybody who needs it. It's great. And we know you guys have had some federal workers call to see what exactly they need to do.
And they had grabbed something from a local news station and put it on Chris Matthews. So we were all over. We were on NBC. It was a tremendous success for our organization, and we were doing good and doing something that was very relevant to the shutdown, and it worked great.
Goes to the point that sort of the best newsjacking is when you have very relevant things to provide. For example, if there's a data hack and you're a cybersecurity company, if it's one of your clients, you definitely want to go forward with it, where it makes sense. Granted, they may not want to talk too much about that, but that's the kind of newsjacking that works well.
The more relevant it is to the reporter, the more relevant it is to the subject at hand and to what you do. I think the better chance you have of getting out there and getting your story told. And I did want to bring up too that public relations newsjacking is different than marketing newsjacking, and really to better understand that difference between marketing and PR, they're two peas in a pod. We actually made an Upright Uptake on that subject, so you can go back and check that out. But there's a ton of newsjacking examples that are really terrific marketing campaigns. And Oreo, I think, is one of the ones that has studied it and done it really well. They had It's Okay to Dunk in the Dark, Super Bowl blackout. They had a little baby bottle of milk with an Oreo cookie on a royal pillow when Kate Middleton gave birth. So they found ways to tie their cookie to what was happening and do it very quickly. And again, with marketing, you have a lot more control of your what you put out there than you do in PR. You're depending on reporters and journalists to help you. But there's also some really tacky marketing campaigns. And I think it's worth bringing those up, because the same is true for tacky PR pitches that are not going to get covered, and you do not want to put yourself in that light with reporters. One of them is linking your subject to a tragedy. Now, if you are somebody like we were, a charity, and the government shutdown wasn't a tragedy, but it was not a positive story, and we were helping, that's when you want to reach out. But if you are someone like Sears and you're holding a sale on generators for a hurricane, or Urban Outfitters and you want to talk about your raincoats during a hurricane, bad move, really bad move. So don't do that. Don't do that with PR. Don't reach out to reporters saying, hey, we're doing this fun thing with the hurricane theme, or it's just bad form across the board.
It's always good to think about your impulses and not always run with them when you have an impulse about newsjacking, because it really needs to, the connection really needs to be anchored in something substantial like your business or what you're doing. So you may have an impulsive great idea. Talk about it with the team before you go forward with it, because it may seem great on paper, but in reality it's like might be a bit cringeworthy. But at the heart of it, PR newsjacking doesn't have to be racing out to a reporter who's playing whack-a-mole trying to get a story. It could mean writing a contributed article that cleverly ties your brand to a trending topic, maybe a TV show or an upcoming event. Even posting an opinion to your blog or your social media feed could garner attention. So while we're talking about news outlets and reporters, there's definitely an opportunity to take some internal actions too.
And PR newsjacking works best when it helps reporters who are talking about relevant, trending issues. But really, once that issue is out there and it's been talked to death, or if you're trying too late or too hard, reporters are fatigued. They get frustrated just like the rest of us. Pumpkin spice comes to mind.
Pumpkin spice latte. This is a whole season and a cup of coffee, isn't it? Yeah, pumpkin spice latte.
It is now officially pumpkin spice latte time.
Right.
Try to walk in and get a pumpkin spice in the summer. You can't get it.
No, you can't. Pumpkin spice latte.
And the pumpkin spice latte, have you had it? Holy cow, that one sent me to the moon.
Jim Cramer loves pumpkin spice latte.
Do you like pumpkin spice, Paul?
I can't stand this stuff. Only in pumpkin pie. Outside of that, it's like I'm aghast at how many products there are that have pumpkin pie spice in it.
Yeah, pumpkin spice pasta. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just not appropriate. But yeah, but you want pumpkin spice in the fall, especially if you live in a climate where you have 4 seasons and the leaves start to change. Pumpkin spice kind of makes sense. But pumpkin spice in August, or pumpkin spice after you've been pumpkin spiced to death in, say, November, people just aren't interested in it. And another one I keep hearing a lot about that I'm actually seeing reporters whining about right now, and on Twitter they're ranting about quiet quitting, and that if anybody sends them a pitch with the term quiet quitting in it, they're just blowing a gasket over it, because it's just been overdone at this point.
April Fool's Day, that's another one. Be careful with April Fool's Day. It's not really newsjacking, but it's sort of holiday jacking. Proceed with extreme caution, and this isn't just small brands. Volkswagen bungled it a couple of years back, and so many companies have tripped over themselves on April Fool's Day to the point where it actually raises animosity with reporters.
Yeah, there is such a thing as bad PR, despite what people might tell you.
Yes.
Be careful.
And so really, to sum up, plan in advance to take advantage of breaking news and trends. Line up your spokespeople and have a plan to respond quickly. And also be thoughtful and relevant when you do reach out to reporters.
And if your company is looking for help preparing your PR strategy, including planning for newsjacking, we would love to meet with your team and explore how solid PR efforts can help with your overall goals.
Indeed. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Email us at uptake@uprightcomms.com.
And be sure to check out all of our Upright Uptake episodes for more helpful PR tips. And if you have a topic you'd like us to cover or a question for us, reach out anytime. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone.